Hey guys, Warhite here. Listen, if I'm playing by myself, my favorite genre of games, RPGs. Back in the 90s where I grew up, who did all the RPGs? Japan did. More importantly, it was either done by Square or later on down the line, Squaresoft. Now, listen, first review coming up here. What am I going to be doing? It's going to be one of my favorite all-time RPGs, Trials of Mana. Now, they did a remake this year, and it was a 3D remake. So let's check that out. 3, 2, 1, go.
The world will be born anew. Trials of Mana.
Now, to start this review off, we're going to go back, because Trials of Mana, the one that came out this year, is a remake. And it's a remake of Seiken Densetsu 3. So let's go back and see what that game was all about. Seiken Densetsu 3 is a 1995 JRPG published by Square, also known as Square Enix today. It is a sequel to the 1993 game Secret of Mana, and it's the third installment in the Mana series. The game follows three heroes as they attempt to reclaim the legendary Mana Sword and prevent the Benevodons from being unleashed and destroying the world. It features 3 lengthy main plot lines and 6 different possible characters that you can choose from at the start screen, each with their own storylines. This game also allowed 2 players to play simultaneously. The Trials of Mana builds on the gameplay of its predecessor with multiple enhancements, including the use of an actual time progression system which went from day to nighttime, and a wide range of character classes to choose from. Now, if you fast forward, in June 2017, this game was finally included for the Nintendo Switch in the Collection of Mana, which included all the Mana series games, including finally an English version of Seiken Densetsu 3. And along with that release, they announced a 3D remake of this once loved Super Nintendo title. So now that we've gotten the history lesson out of the way, so let's dive into the 3D remake of one of my most beloved childhood experiences. That was Seiken Densetsu 3 and is now Trials of Mana. First, before we get into the gameplay, let's kick this off with the sound design of the game. First of all, fully voice acted. Yes, finally. I can finally enjoy this game as I think it was really meant to be heard. Both Japanese and English voice actors. Now, get into the music. The music. They bring the original Super Nintendo tracks back. You can switch between the retro tracks of the Super Nintendo version of the game or their remastered versions of each track. Here, I will play the theme track on both. Here is the retro version. And here is the remake. even the slight differences in there, they capture all of my nostalgia, all of my wonder with the remake versions of these songs. I cannot get over them. They are amazing. Whoever composed this is a genius. Thank you for this. This is a top-down reimagining sound design-wise. Now, let me talk a little bit about the gameplay. When talking about the gameplay, you look at the original game and then you look at the remake and you see how they tried to translate what was happening in that 2D plane into 3D space. And like one of my favorite roguelike titles, Risk of Rain, they perfectly executed that. I did not feel detached at all. I knew what I was seeing, and it brought those memories back completely, without a doubt. The movement animations are smooth, and the combat is easy to get into, with a slight difficulty if you actually want to master it. And they took full advantage of the 3D space, giving you a jump button as well in this, which was not included in the original game. The graphic style, the cell shading, I really appreciate that. It really brings a more new life to these characters. These sprites that were kind of hard to make out in some of the original work, especially like the Jester and stuff. I knew what he was, but this like new redesign of him brings him in a whole new light. Now, the old me would give this a perfect rating, but that is not the old me. There's some of these tropes that just kind of get a little out of hand at times. One of the characters, Charlotte, just the way she talks, even though that's how she was in the game, and if it is a little kid, is just completely annoying. I don't like her being on screen at all, and it kind of just cuts a choice out for me, which kind of sucks. The boss fights are amazing. They take the mechanic of this being a full free action RPG and give you that stress level, but all your menus still pause the game still. Now, the menus are going to be a little hard to navigate through your first time. But once you get it down and know that your up and down switch between your items to your moves to your spells, and then left to right is how you scroll through it, you'll understand. You can also fully switch between all three of your characters once you have all three. And you can do that before battle, during battle, which gives you a whole new sense of strategy. The move animations, even as far as your special moves that you can do, fully cinematic, and just brings it to life on a whole new level in the same way that they tried to do in the Super Nintendo version, but it's just on a whole new level. I'm not going to give any spoilers through that. You want to experience this game for its full amazing story, and it's going to be one you want to play through multiple times with different ones, because some characters just don't see the story in the light of others. You get a whole different sense for the whole dynamic of the world through different characters, which is an amazing touch that brings so much life to this game. But I can't recommend this for everyone, and the reason for that is it does fall off at the end, and not at the end of the story. The actual full main story from complete beginning to end there is amazing. They have a little bit extra at the end to give you the full experience of the final class change of the characters. And honestly, it felt tacked on. I'm sorry that it did, but it did. Repetitive tower dungeon, I want to say, and into a boss gauntlet, into that final boss that didn't really give you any backstory on or anything. It just didn't drive me to want to do it. I had to push myself through that part, which was a very sad thing. But minus that, which in itself is only like at the max an hour and a half. It is an amazing recreation of this game. Now, putting the bad with the good on this game, I have to give it a score. But first, let me explain my score system. I'm going off of more style like Angry Joe. If you know his system, then you know how mine is gonna go. I do a 1 through 10. I don't do like these 0.8s or 0.9s at all. 1 is a terrible game I wouldn't recommend to anyone to buy, to rent, to own, to play. 5 is the middle of the road, normal game. Not a bad game, not a perfect game. Just a middle of the road. I could recommend it to people. Maybe not buy, but maybe wait for a sale and definitely rent. But definitely to play. 10 is, oh my god, this went above and beyond my expectations. Definitely play, buy. I cannot recommend this enough. Now, as far as the Trial of Mana goes, as a remake, it's an amazing game. It brings to life this game in a whole new feel. I want to replay it. I just don't want to replay the tacked on end storyline that adds the new extra class change. It just doesn't compel me to play that part. There is one thing on this game that I did not mention. It does have a new game plus. I will not tell you what this entails. You need to find that out for yourself because it is spoiler territory. So, it does have a new game plus that you can replay it over and over and over again on that. And that gives you chances to explore all the new classes on there, because there's several different routes you can go to with each character, which just adds to the replayability of it. As far as my score goes, I would say it would have to run around a 7. It's not quite an 8. I could probably do an 8 or a 9 if it didn't have that tacked on part at the end. But being everything all together, the amazing sound design, the amazing recreation into 3D space with this game, the graphic style that it just adds so much more color and depth to the story and the characters. The full voice acting, which I appreciate. It pushes it to a 7. 7 out of 10. I do believe that this is a good game for you to own if you're a fan of RPGs. If you're a fan of RPGs, you remember the Mana series, and you're like, maybe I didn't get to play Seiken Densetsu 3, and I'm like, man, I really want to experience that. You can either get the Collection of Mana, which has all the original games on there to play on your Switch, or on Switch or on your PC, you can get Trials of Mana. It's an amazing game and worth the price. Please, I beg you, if you are a fan of this genre and want to relive Square's prime, please go get this game. 7 out of 10. Again, Warhite here, guys. Hope you have an amazing day. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch. Hit the like button if you like this review. This is my first review coming out. I know it may be a little bit rough around the edges, but see, I will get this done. I will get this through. We'll figure this out. I'll make it smoother these days going forward, I promise. Now, please don't forget, like, subscribe if you want to, and follow my Twitch. I will put all of those links in the details here. Thank you for joining me on this review of Trials of Mana.